Hi, my name is Putri and this is our group assignment. We will discuss about the rule of law. The rule of law in its most basic form refers to a government that is run by the law rather than by individuals. Here are the objectives. Analyzing the role of the rule of law in advancing justice, equality, and accountability in democratic countries is the goal of this project. After that, we'll be able to describe and further explain the components of the rule of law so that we may comprehend it fully. In addition, we can understand the role that the rule of law plays in the nation in achieving a harmonious state. The rule of law, in its most basic forms, describes a government that is run by the law rather than by individuals. The term rule of law refers to a principle of government in which all individuals, institutions, and groups, both public and private, including the state itself, are subject to laws that are publicly promulgated, equally enforced, independently decided, and compliant with international human rights standards. Another definition is that everyone in government is subject to and expected to follow the law. The conditions set forth by the law cannot be unachievable for anyone to meet, and they must be enforced equally to all people in accordance with their provisions.
Hello, my name is Amir Zohari. I would like to present you the element of law. The three components of law are the supremacy of the law, equality before the law, and the predominance of the legal spirit. The first is the supremacy of law. Modern democratic societies' important principles is the idea that the law is supreme. The supremacy of law theory in law holds that neither a person nor a government can be above the law. Everyone must be subject to the law equally, and there can be no exceptions. Protecting people from the arbitrary authority of rule is the supremacy of law. Equal protection under the law is the following. This component's definition states that everyone has the right to receive equal treatment under the law. Everyone has the right to equal treatment without being subjected to unlawful discrimination based on their race, gender, sexual orientation, language, religion, national origin, status, or any other factor. The predominance of the legal spirit is the final component of law. This component ought to guard the freedom of the people in our nation. On the other side, the legal mindset predominates and also symbolizes a court. The court is free to interpret the Constitution without influence from the executive branch of government due to the dominance of the legal spirit. It ensures that the government must follow by the law and isn't allowed to behave improperly or in violation of the Constitution.
Hi, my name is Gazlina Kaisara. The rule of law has several important functions. The rule of law function is essential to maintain order and stability in the country, protect individual rights, and to ensure economic development and investment. The first function of the rule of law is the protection of individual rights. The rule of law serves to protect the rights and freedoms of individuals and prevent irresponsible action by those in power and ensure that all people are treated fairly and equally in the legal system, regardless of their background such as position, descent, and rank. This means no one is special when it comes to the law. All society are equal under the law. For example, an individual has freedom of religion and belief. Therefore, through this rule of law, it will protect freedom of religion and belief by allowing the individual to practice their religion of their own choice, whether as a Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, and Hindu, or stick to their own belief without discrimination or coercion from any parties or the surrounding community. The second function is to create order and stability in the country. National order and stability are important to ensure public safety and order can be maintained and improved as a priority in the country. Therefore, through law, it is a good way to control all the behavior of individuals who are not responsible for the prosperity of the country. Therefore, the law in the country needs to be clear and firm to guarantee the rule of law as a symbol of sovereign country. Furthermore, the rule of law requires laws that are clear, generally accessible, and consistently enforced. When the law is well defined and people understand their rights and obligations, it can reduce confusion and encourage orderly behavior by everyone towards the law that has been enforced. Therefore, clear laws can be very important for a country so that people can understand each law and the punishment that will be imposed if they make a mistake. Every law that is made needs to be clearly explained in what the punishment is and how the punishment is carried out for every criminal act that exists. Therefore, with the existence of good, clear and consistent law, it can make the country stable and safe based on the rule of law on that country. The last function of the rule of law is to ensure economic development and investment. What this rule of law has to do with the economic development is when investors consider investing their resources in the foreign country, they look for stability, predictability, and legal protection in the country they want to invest. Investors who invest in our country are because our country has laws on property protection. Therefore, investors are more inclined to invest in countries where their assets and investment are protected from seizure or violation of the law. This means that investors will be interested in investing in the country that have a valid laws related to the business and investment in the national economy so that their rights can be protected if something goes wrong. Therefore, when the country has a good rule of law, it becomes one of the attraction for investors from foreign countries to invest in our country as well as attract their trust to conduct business because of the country's economic stability and peace.
My name is Nur Afiza. Here is the important rule of law. The first important is preventing the abuse of authority and power. Anyone in a position of authority may abuse it for their own ends by taking advantage of it. Abuse of power and authority can result in violation of people's rights, including discrimination and misconduct and violation of their most fundamental freedoms. The rule of law contributes to preserving confidence in the governance system by avoiding misuse. Next, another important rule of law is prevent the violation of human rights. It's a safeguard of freedoms of assembly and expression, which are essential for the enjoyment of human rights and for guarantee the people can freely express their opinion. It is crucial to safeguard the right of marginalized groups, including minorities, women, children, and youngsters. Not just as that, another important rule of law is political stability. It contributes to the early prevention of wars. Political stability and the lack of violence in a nation create favorable conditions for investment, job opportunities, and tax income. Additionally, it promotes the adoption of sound economic principles that entice the prospective investor to conduct business there and lessen the likelihood that they will lose their investment.
My name is Adis Patisha Beta Mashkuri. First advantage rule of law is to help reduce corruption by promoting transparency and accountability in the government process. Fighting corruption requires political will to create fiscal institutions that promote integrity and accountability throughout the public sector. For example, countries like Colombia use an online platform that allows citizens to monitor financial movement of investment projects. By doing this, rule of law helps in reducing corruption. Second advantage is to provide access to justice. Justice in law to ensure all people live fairly in their own country. Those who commit a crime, they will be punished by act and law in the country. It's proven that having rule of law provides justice for citizens. Having advantage means having a disadvantage too. Now I will explain the cons of rule of law. If in lack of patriotism, it will bring effect to rule of law. Patriotism is one of the reasons our country get our own independence years ago. because of the spirit of the people to live in independence country, it leads to independence. However, if people nowadays have lack of interest in loving of caring for our own country, it will seem possible that we will be colonized once again. Not only that, having uncontrolled corruption will affect rule of law also. Corruption will increase inequality, decrease popular accountability and political responsive, and thus produce rising frustration and hardship among citizens. By having corruption, someone can bribe the judges to change any punishment related to their crime that will be charged to them, and it will lead to unfair assessment. So, we have to control the corruption in order to keep our rule of law useful for all people.
In conclusion, the rule of law is the key idea that promotes a society just and equitable government. To sum up, it ensures that everyone is bound by the law and responsible for their conduct, even government employees. The ideas of accountability, openness, and access to justice are supported by the rule of law, which also promotes social harmony and stability, economic advancement, and the defense of individual rights. The rule of law is important for maintaining everyone's liberty and rights, but it is also essential for a peaceful and productive society. It encourages investment and economic growth, boosts public confidence in institutions, and strives to prevent social unrest, corruption, and abuse of power. Thank you.